The Pentland Group is a family-based, owned and governed by the Rubens family. It holds a self-explanatory central goal, building a family of brands for the world to love, generation after generation. Moreover, they are highly focused on the retail industry and especially on sports, fashion, outdoor clothing, and equipment. While building this over 90 years old imperium, they are highly driven by strategy building. This can be seen in their core structure. So they centralize their family coherence in Pentland Group Ltd, perform external acquisitions through their investment division, and lastly hold a majority shareholder in the publicly listed retail group named GD Sports Fashion.
The firm started in 1932 when Birko and Minnie Rubens started Liverpool Shoe Company, which then expanded into manufacturing after World War II. During the years 1967 to 1971, the company incurred losses throughout because of the cheap imports from the Far East. Later, their son reconstructed the company and outsourced from Asia. Stefan diversified the business by investing in firms such as Reebok USA, which in turn helped the success of Pentland stocks. In 1991, Pentland wanted out from Reebok, so they began the two-stage divestment and ended a memorable venture capitalist deal. This helped finance a series of acquisitions and build the family label. In 2004, they moved into the retail by acquiring 57% of JD Sports Fashion, and now the Pentland Group employs over 50,000 people and has an annual sales of £6.4 billion. So now we move on to the genealogy chart. Starting at the top, we have Birko and Minnie, who were the founders, then their son, Stefan, who was the chairman of Pentland Group. Moving on to his children, we have Andy, who started as a sales rep, then became the third CEO of Pentland Brands, and in 2016 joined the board as non-executive director of JD Sports Goods. We have his sister Carrie, who joined at the age of 19 and became the president of the American Affiliate Board. Staying in the third generation, we have Barry Moshiam, which is Stefan's son-in-law, and he is one of the leaders of the group's investment divisions. In the fourth generation, we have the grandchildren, or great-grandchildren, who some are working outside the business to gain experience before joining the family business, while we have others that have expressed interest in the family business. As for the members and their main contribution, we have Birko and Minnie, who, as I said before, started it all. We have Stefan, whose decision to outsource from Asia and expand into manufacturing made one of the most progressive impacts on the company. They were then able to reinvest their family's earnings into new companies and diversify their brand portfolio, a concept which the business is really well known for. He was also the one that borrowed the name Pentland from an acquired company. Moving on to the third generation, we have Andy, who initiated the movement into the world of retail by investing in JD Sports Goods. Which later on became one of the most significant assets of Pentland. He also led the project to complete ownership of Speedo International and Speedo Australia. Then we have a sister who's well known for being involved in several organizations to promote women as leaders in business. She really wanted to educate women both inside and outside of her family on the importance of female in position of power. As for the fourth generation, they're wanting to be involved in Pentland 4.0, which is a 2-year educational and development program for the next generation to ensure that they have the necessary skills to run the family business.
Further, the three-circle or dimensional model shows us in more detail how the ownership, family, and business are inextricably connected to one another. In proving so, we identify the non-overlapping parts in the structure, which are only related to Pentland Group Ltd. First, family members, where values are crucial. This is proven when Pentland Group was 100% privatized again through the buyback on the stock exchange, as previously seen in the timeline. On the business side, we have non-family members and executives that are highly involved in running the business, meaning there is a lot of external aiding and external talent running that. We have Andy Long, which went from CEO to chairman of the investment division, and Tim Hawkins, who is the CFO. Lastly, in the ownership structure, it is interesting to see that there are actually no non-family owners in the Pentland Group. When we zoom into the interconnected parts, we saw that the family ownership is basically a birthright, if you want. The fourth generation is coming in, and these receive their shares via family trust. Next, we have the family employees. Here we identify the children-in-law, for example, Barry Mosheim. He works in the business, but is no owner since he doesn't hold the initial family blood band. Furthermore, to the right, we see another non-family owners section that is represented by all non-family owners of companies acquired by Pentland's investment division, since they only take minority shareholder positions. Lastly, we have the centralized located family owner employees, and these are all the senior family member positions, family board members, and family members that have active driving roles. In the final ring and the all overarching structure in the family and the corporate governance, we have the corporate governance system. This is an essential part of the dimensional framework, since it's the glue that keeps all heads aligned by either trust, family values, or worst case by laws. Equally important, it aids succession in combination with priorly stated non-family executives that are smoothing the transitional process towards the next generation. All of this is achieved by structures such as the family charter, ranging from family values, gender diversity, integrity, to voting agreement, competence-based entry, etc., which the latter is established through the Pentland Academy to attract both external talent as identifying internal positioning.
So to build a lasting family business, we've laid out 4 key criteria. Firstly, it's important to always have a strategy in place as it can prove a strong direction, as it can provide a strong direction to follow. Secondly, having continuous growth would enable Pentland groups to have a vision in mind. At times, this might be at the expense of short-term profitability, but it's necessary to ensure long-run success. Thirdly, succession planning can be difficult because of the level of uncertainty attached. Therefore, by having a plan, this will minimize the level of uncertainty involved. And finally, most importantly, there must be family harmony, meaning having a level of respect for one another as it enables family members to be constructive and work through problems together.
In order to analyze whether Pentland Group is a resilient family business, we use the DREAM framework. Firstly, the company must be a disruptor. Pentland Group has a history of identifying disruptive threats. They have proven over time how they can quickly adapt, for instance, when they acquired Speedo. The business is known for its high moral and social responsibility. Even during the tough times of the pandemic, they donated to various charities. Their reputation and values have greatly contributed to the resiliency of the business. Furthermore, the fact that not all executive roles are filled by family members is an advantage. For example, Tim Hawkins being the CFO. As the DREAM framework describes, attachment creates a sense of belonging. Employees are already treated as key stakeholders, with regular staff social events being organized. This is clearly a resilient aspect of the business. Lastly, focusing on the long-term vision of the company and sustaining the legacy will create a more resilient business. This is why moving to the next generation of the family will be one of the most important in their history. Like every industry, the COVID pandemic has severely impacted the Rubin family's interests. The retail industry has been hit particularly hard. The majority of shoppers still prefer to buy their products from physical stores. Online platforms and supply channels at the same time have not been fit to accommodate this massive shift from physical to online purchasing. Non-active next generation family members could be a challenge for the company. This is why sticking with the plan they already have for an effective succession is crucial. Nowadays, many consumers, particularly young people, look to spend their money on businesses that have a moral and social purpose behind them. As a result, incorporating these values across all brands will be important for Pentland Group. Lastly, they will have to use their expertise in regeneration to address how they change post-pandemic. The investment division responsible for diversifying their portfolio will be central to their future success.
And finally, we have 3 main recommendations that we would like to give. And firstly, it's to deal with non-active family members and effective succession. So in terms of that, this can prevent misalignment of the business and prevent opportunistic characters potentially disrupting the flow of the business. Therefore, having a plan to deal with these people would be really important for Pentland Groups to succeed. And next is to regenerate brands for the next generation. So with the pandemic, obviously it hit many businesses quite hard. So highlighting that Pentland Groups can adapt and implement the use of digitalization can signal to consumers that they know how to adapt, as well as to create a calm environment for the following generation. And finally, Pentland Group is still very reliant on JD Sports. As such, greater diversification in different markets will be necessary as it presents further growth as well as protection to the downside. And those are our slides. Thank you very much.